My grandpa is 78 years old, and every Sunday morning he does the same thing he's done for decades. He walks down to the pond on our family land, sits on the wooden dock he built himself, and goes fishing. Rain or shine, that's his routine. Our family owns about 20 acres just outside the city, land that has been in our family for 3 generations, with a pond full of bass, catfish, and trout. A few years ago, a luxury neighborhood was built right next to our property, with big houses, security gates, and, of course, an HOA. The president of that HOA was a woman named Karen, and she hated the fact that our land wasn't part of their association. She tried several times to convince us to join and follow HOA rules, but my dad always told her the same thing. No thanks, we're happy the way we are. Apparently Karen didn't like hearing no. One Sunday morning, I was sitting on the porch drinking coffee when I saw her storming down the hill from her side of the fence, phone in one hand and an HOA clipboard in the other. She marched straight toward the pond where my grandpa was quietly fishing. I followed behind just in time to hear her yelling, "You can't fish here. This pond is under HOA jurisdiction. You're trespassing." My grandpa slowly looked up from his fishing rod, adjusted his straw hat, and calmly said, "Ma'am, this land belongs to my family. Been that way since the 1970s. But Karen didn't care. She pulled out her phone and called 911, claiming an elderly man was threatening residents near community waters. About 3 minutes later, a sheriff's truck pulled up with its lights flashing. The officer who stepped out was Deputy Lane, someone who had known our family for years and had even fished in that pond when he was younger. He asked Karen what the problem was, and she pointed straight at my grandpa, saying, "That man has no right to be here." Lane looked at her for a moment, then shook his head. "Ma'am," he said, "this pond is private property. That man owns it." Then he pointed toward the fence and added, "If anyone is trespassing here, it's you." Karen's face went pale. While Deputy Lane was explaining everything, I went back to the barn and grabbed our property documents. Inside the original deed was a clause my dad had mentioned years ago. It said if any HOA leadership filed false claims or legal complaints against the property owner, the shared easement across our land would immediately be revoked. That easement was extremely valuable because for years the HOA had been using our dirt road as a shortcut to reach the public lake. Their maintenance trucks used it, their ATVs drove through it, and even some utilities crossed that route. But Karen had just filed a police complaint against the property owner, which meant the easement was gone. Just like that. 3 minutes. When the HOA board realized what had happened, they came to our house the next day, trying to negotiate, but the paperwork was clear and completely legal. Within a week, Karen was removed from the HOA board, and the neighborhood ended up spending millions building a new access road around our property. As for my grandpa, he went back to the pond the very next Sunday morning with the same straw hat, the same lawn chair, and the same fishing rod. And this time, nobody bothered him.